Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chilling Nights. Thank you for tuning in this week for another storytelling. Today, we have a very interesting story. It was titled The Carnival. So, let's get into it. The Carnival. This happened when I was 15 years old, an age old enough to be aware of my surroundings and have a pretty good sense of danger. I live in a decent, busy neighborhood. However, I am on a dead end block near a forest preserve, and across the street from me is a sump. And if you were to go through the forest preserve, you would find yourself in a small community park. There was this one Saturday night that a mini carnival was being held there, and since I wasn't doing anything, my mom suggested that I go check out the carnival. I ended up going. I crossed through the street with a flashlight and eventually passed the fence that led to the park and saw lit up carnival rides that lit up everywhere. A Ferris wheel, a mini roller coaster, some of those big spinning rides, and of course, concession stands and carnival game booths. It was late enough where it wasn't very crowded. There was also a big circus tent with the red and white stripes where I saw some people entering. I poked my head inside and saw 4 rows of people in the audience, and on this mini stage I saw 3 clowns performing tricks. One was on a tricycle, one was juggling, and the other was just dancing around. Then the dancing clown noticed me poking my head inside the tent, and he skipped over closer to me and started waving his index finger, signaling for me to come closer or to come onto the stage. I didn't really know. All I knew was I didn't want to do either, and so I walked away. I ran into a few friends at one of the carnival games, and I hung out with them for about half an hour. Pretty soon, though, the carnival was closing down, and everybody was starting to leave. I said goodbye to my friends and made my way towards the woods again. I was near the fence when I heard psst. It came from behind me. It was one of the clowns, the same one that was waving at me earlier. He asked me if I wanted to check out the backstage area of the circus tent and some of the other cool things that the guests could not see. I said no very quickly and walked into the forest, looking back every few seconds to make sure I wasn't being followed. And I wasn't. The clown just stood there watching me with a creepy, painted-on smile on his face, making the situation even more disturbing. When I was out of view, I began to run for a bit before I was confident he wouldn't be able to find me. I wasn't going to tell my mom what happened because I love being allowed out wherever I wanted to go, and I feared that if I tell her, this might ruin that. It's half a mile walk through the woods, and I was probably 3/4 of the way there when I heard it again. Psst. This time, I immediately felt sick when I heard it. I turned and saw the same clown walking out from the darkness of the woods and into the light of my flashlight. When he was close enough, I threw the flashlight at him and ran as fast as I could in the direction towards my house. I heard him draw up close behind me until the road was visible. Then I heard him suddenly turn around. When I got home, I was breathing like I had just run a marathon. My mom saw me and of course was concerned. I still didn't want to tell her what happened, so I lied and told her I jogged the whole way back. After that, I never went back to a carnival again. This next story, I came across it on a Pinterest post. It was titled The Photographs. A few months ago, a friend of mine, who was an up-and-coming nature photographer, decided to spend a day and a night alone in the woods outside of our town. She wanted to get photos of the woods and wildlife as naturally as she could for her portfolio. She wasn't afraid of being alone, as she had camped by herself many times before. She set up a tent in the middle of a small clearing and spent the day taking pictures. She filled up 4 rolls of film on that trip. But something was strange about them. The pictures weren't the typical pictures that she wanted to see. She had spent the day exploring the woods, taking pictures of the natural animals and so on, but the thing that she saw in those pictures happened to traumatize her. She noticed that every picture that she accounted for were not pictures of the woods or nature. It was pictures of her sleeping at night. Someone was actually quiet enough to go into her tent and take pictures of her sleeping at night. She never once wanted to discuss it up until now, but I can only assume that she is still traumatized, considering how they left a message for her in one of the pictures, a handwritten note saying that she looked beautiful. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Chilling Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps me out with the channel. Until next week, thank you for the support.
Ben de ma fille à fiat depuis le début. TM6 déshydraté, lèche des culs. Poto, t'as 6 ans d'études, mais que sais-tu? Ils ont fait ton mec qui suce pour un que plus.